6:15, this is Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Katharine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The government says that the price of fuel will not be increased. Another consignment of gas will arrive in the island. 200,000 cylinders will be distributed to the market tomorrow. The health sector requests the public to strictly follow the health guidelines. Additional trains will be operated during the festive season. Secretary General of Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation arrived in the island this afternoon. And in news overseas, UN says mass grave in Moripol holds 200 bodies. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. The government says that the price of fuel will not be increased, but the IOC has increased all kinds of petrol from last night. Minister Gamini Lukage said that the reason for the increase of fuel prices by the IOC is being studied. A shipment carrying 37,700 metric tons of fuel will arrive in the island tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Litro Gas Company says that 200,000 of gas cylinders will be issued to the market tomorrow. 120,000 gas cylinders have already been issued to the market today as well. The company also said that more employees have been deployed for duties on holidays in order to avoid the gas shortage in the country. A ship carrying 3,000 metric tons of gas arrived in the country yesterday as well. The health sector requests the public to strictly follow the health guidelines during the festive season. Deputy Director General of Health Services, Specialist Dr. Hemant Herath said that it will cause for a further intensifying of existing economic crisis if the country has to re-lock down. He said it is important to adhere to health guidelines as the COVID pandemic is still prevailing. The Railways Department says that additional compartments will be added to the trains operating in the festive season. The aim of this move is to minimize the congestion. Deputy Director General and the Manager of Railways, Gamini Senviratna, told the SLBC that the shortage of train drivers and guards is an obstruction for this purpose. This is a news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The government of Sri Lanka will host the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation Summit in Colombo in a hybrid mode next week from Monday to Wednesday. The senior officials and foreign ministers of Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, India and Thailand will arrive in Sri Lanka for the BIMSTEC Senior Officials Meeting and Ministerial Meeting scheduled to be held on the 28th and 29th March respectively, while the Foreign Minister of Myanmar will participate virtually. The President of Sri Lanka will chair the 5th BIMSTEC Summit on 30th March with the virtual participation of leaders of Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal and Thailand. Myanmar will be represented by the Foreign Minister of Myanmar at the summit. The summit is also expected to adopt the BIMSTEC Charter and sign several other legal agreements. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, that's BIMSTEC, Tenzin Lekpel, arrived in Sri Lanka this afternoon. Mr. Lekpel will be attending the 5th BIMSTEC Summit scheduled to be held in Colombo on Wednesday. And before we conclude the local news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The government says the prices of fuel will not be increased. Another ship of consignment of gas will arrive in the island. 200,000 of gas cylinders will be distributed to the market tomorrow. The health sector requests the public to strictly follow the health guidelines. Additional trains will be operated during the festive season. Secretary General of Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation arrived in the island this afternoon. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, a program will be implemented to provide relief for the local ferry boats that are subjected to accidents in seas. The Army and the Coast Guard Department is supporting in this regard. State Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara said that a program to safeguard the fisheries technicians has also been implemented. The Navy and the Coast Guard Force have already engaged in duties in all fishing harbours. Special attention will be paid on violation of sea territories. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
And in Watch Life this evening, the residents of Visaradaniya complain that the Jayamavata road is severely dilapidated. The reason for this is a high level of transportation on the road. They request the relevant authorities to renovate the road soon. And that came to you in Watch Light.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Headlines of the world news. UN says mass grave in Mariupol holds 200 bodies. Ukraine President lauds powerful blows to the Russian forces. 15 UN member states condemn North Korea's ICBM launch. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. The head of a UN human rights team in Ukraine has revealed more information about the mass graves in the eastern city of Mariupol, saying one of them appears to hold 200 bodies. The official said at a news conference yesterday that it was not clear from satellite images whether the dead were soldiers or civilians. The United Nations says that at least 1,081 civilians had been killed in Ukraine by Thursday since Russia's invasion began on the 24th of last month. The official also said the figures include very few from Mariupol because the heavy bombardment there has made verification difficult. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has lauded the counter-offensive attack his country's troops have staged against Russian forces over the past week. In a video address yesterday, Zelensky said their heroic armed forces have dealt powerful blows to the enemy, causing significant losses. He said 26,477 residents of the besieged eastern city of Mariupol were evacuated to Zaporizhzhia via humanitarian corridor. But he added that the situation in the city remains absolute tragic. He accused the Russian military for not allowing humanitarian aid into the city. 15 nations, including the United States, Britain, France, Japan, and South Korea, have jointly condemned in the strongest terms North Korea's latest launch of what it says was an intercontinental ballistic missile. They released a statement on Friday after an emergency meeting held publicly in the UN Secretary Council. The 15 nations say that North Korea has returned to tests of long-range weapons, damaging peace and stability in the international society, rather than returning to a dialogue requested repeatedly by some nations, including the US. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. UN says mass graves in Mariupol holds 200 bodies. The Ukrainian president lauds powerful blows to Russian forces. 15 UN member states condemn North Korea's ICBM launch. And that was the world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, Friendly Leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by... Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And in development news, construction work of the Soba Danavi LNG power plant will be expedited, which has a capacity of 350 megawatts. Plans have been made to add 200 megawatts of it to the national grid. The power plant will be constructed in the Kerawalapitia area. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Development news was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, Chairman of the Indian Cricket Control Board, Sourav Ganguly, has said that the board is planning to commence the women's IPL tournament by next year. Meanwhile, the women's T20 tournament, comprised with 4 matches, are scheduled to begin soon. And still in cricket news, Sri Lanka Cricket Institute says that the Australian cricket team is scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka for a tour. They will participate in several matches which will be conducted from the 7th of June to the 12th of July this year. 3 T20 matches, 5 ODIs and 2 test matches are to be played. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, a program to encourage dairy farming and fish-related production will be implemented in the Mathura district. Nearly 2 million rupees has been allocated for this project. The government has taken measures to support 12 fish-related industries. The necessary machinery and bank loans facilities will be provided. That was the business news, and economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, treasury bills worth over 48 billion rupees will be issued. The auction will be held on the 30th of this month. The central bank says these bills will be issued maturing on 91, 182 and 364 days. Biddings have already been called from the primary dealers on government securities. That is economic news, and the weather report to conclude.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the North Central, Northwestern, Western, Sabaragamuwa, Central and Uva provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts after 2 p.m. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The government says prices of fuel will not be increased. another ship consignment of gas will arrive in the island. 200,000 of gas cylinders will be distributed to the market tomorrow. The health sector requests the public to strictly follow the health guidelines. Additional trains will be operated during the festive season. Secretary General of Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation arrived in the island this afternoon. And in news overseas, UN says mass grave in Moripol holds 200 bodies. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.